Let's play around with Arcane Adaptation. What's going on, guys? If you want to support our content and pick up this month's amazing Patreon rewards, you can do so at patreon.com/itresolves. If you're interested in custom playmats and sleeves, visit YourPlaymat.com and use code ItResolves10YP for 10% off your entire purchase. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to yet another Challenge Week video. I am very excited to jump into this one. Before we do, though, I do have a couple of things I just want to point out unrelated to the Challenge Week. First of all, congratulations to our winner, Pat McGrath. I believe I'm saying that correctly. Pat did win our Adventures in the Forgotten Realms giveaway. I do apologize, I was not here when we announced the winner, and so I wasn't able to get a video up on it, so I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out right away in the start of this video, just to make sure that you guys knew. It was posted on our Instagram and our Twitter, and I did share it in our Discord as well, but I just want to make sure everybody kind of knew that going into this, so that way you're making sure we didn't forget, which I appreciate. So no problem there. I was out of town though, so as such we didn't have a video up on Thursday. I did pre-record the Challenge Week a little bit, so thankfully we did get that up, and congratulations to our winner. But let's move on. We're jumping into Arcane Adaptation this week. If you guys don't know how these work, basically, we've been giving out build around cards. The first week was Old Gnawbone. This week is Arcane Adaptation. We've asked you guys to create some very creative decks featuring Arcane Adaptation as the big build around card, somehow utilizing its ability, which basically turns all of the creatures in your deck, in your hand, on the field into a particular creature type. You guys put some amazing suggestions out there, so first of all, thank you guys so much. But you are being judged on two different things. Not only is it the number of wins that you get out of 3 games, but it's also the creativity aspect of it. And my good friend and moderator Alex and I kind of came up with some creative ratings for all of you guys on a scale from 1 to 5. So let's see how we are doing. Today is going to be a very interesting one, so let's go ahead and jump into that. Also, if you do want to submit a deck list for this or any future weeks, you can do so via our Discord. We've got a challenge submissions channel there for you, but let's go ahead and jump into it. Here is today's deck. Now, this is brought to us by Ace, who is very much a regular on these challenge weeks, which we certainly appreciate. I'm going to go ahead and get the tough news out of the way, Ace. This one is, I think, the stereotypical what you would expect list from an Arcane Adaptation deck. You did feature some really interesting things, which we'll talk about as we go through, but I'm going to boost this rating slightly. Alex gave it slightly lower. I'm going to give it a 3 because I do think it's a little bit in line with exactly what you would expect, and it's a pretty straightforward list. That being said, it feels very not super synergistic, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, it's very, very good, Ace. Please don't feel like that's to discourage you by any means, but when I say expected, the idea is we use Arcane Adaptation, select God, and then we use the World Tree to get all of the gods out of our deck at once, which is everything, because we've made everything a god, which is a really sick little combo. We've seen this though before. This is actually a deck that is like in existence previously. It's not tier 1 by any means, but it is actually really nice. But there are some problems with this list, Ace, and again, I don't say any of this to discourage you, but what we are going to run into more than anything else is mana issues. Just straight out of the gate, that is most likely going to be a problem for us. I get why, but we do have quite a number of basics, which means we are probably going to be hunting for some colors in the early turns of the game. Now, thankfully, you do have things like Cultivate, which is why we have so many basics. Keep in mind, I do understand why that's there. And the World Tree itself does make basic lands add a color of any color. So once we get to 6 lands, we're actually good. But it's getting there that I think might be the problem. I believe also we have, 22 lands, and we have 66 cards, which is going to be a little tricky because the majority of our cards are not necessarily going to be the cards that we need at the time. But we do have some stuff to deal with that. We've got Cultivate, we've got Explore, that's all going to help ramp us. We have also got Faeburrow Elder, which is going to help ramp us as well. With the Arcane Adaptation, we do get 4 Idyllic Tutors as well. Very, very nice way to pull that out. Make sure that we can get that down before we get to the later turns of the game, where the idea is we've got Golos, great card in this one, able to pull out a land, whether that be a World Tree or that be just a color that we need. This is a way to solve the mana issue, so very, very happy to see that there. Linvala, activated abilities of your opponents can't be activated. This is really, the idea is to kind of shut down the opponent with all of these kind of random things. And this is where the creativity we felt was lacking. So again, Ace, don't feel like this is a bad thing, but it feels like a bunch of just really strong stuff in a deck, which is great, nothing wrong with that. It just didn't feel as synergistic. That being said, though, still very, very good. We've got Baneslayer Angel, very strong threat. Golos, like I said, this is also kind of an alternative to the World Tree. We can spin the wheel and play the cards that we get off of it. Maelstrom Archangel, just a nice little threat, going to be able to get in there for some damage and then hopefully play some free stuff from our hand. Wandering Archaic, really interesting. So 5 mana, whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you copy that spell. You can choose new targets for the copy. The idea is if we can get all of these out, anytime they play an instant or sorcery, they're going to be having to pay a lot of extra mana. They probably can't, which means ideally we're just going to be able to steal their stuff. Each player on the other side, each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library and reveals a land and or instant or sorcery spell from among them. Each player puts the cards they revealed this way into their hand and the rest on the bottom of their library in any order. Each player gains 3 life. Just a nice little way to dig through our deck. It's colorless, so this doesn't have the colorless restriction that we may see elsewhere. Just a really nice kind of engine card for us. Etali, Primal Storm, a great way to pull some cards from the deck. Herald of Anguish, great in this list. If we can get this out, this is amazing because it discards cards from the opponent's hand, which just means that they don't really have answers for us. So very, very strong. Genesis Ultimatum, also a great alternative to the World Tree, just getting out a lot of stuff, obviously. Zacama, kind of the big Mac Daddy of them all, just being able to throw her out. Basically do whatever we need to. We can deal 3 damage, destroy artifacts, enchantments, or gain life. And then, of course, the big Ulamog hisself. Ulamog's in here. Gonna be great. So anyway, Ace, again, I don't say anything to discourage you. I really appreciate the submission, my friend. Please don't take this as a bad deck by any means. It just didn't feel quite as creative. It felt very out of the box a little bit. That being said, it's gonna be awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's jump into 3 games. Let's see how we do. Max number of points we can get, remember, is 6 now because we are giving it a creativity of 3. So let's see how we do. And here we are, guys, for game number 1. Ace, let's see if we can get a few wins here, my friend. This is exactly what I'm talking about, though. We are going to run into these issues. The question is, do we keep this hand? I'm going to not. But see, again, I don't think we can keep this. If we had a green source, I would, but I just don't think we can. Now, this I will keep. We need 1 more basic land, then we can cultivate and get the colors we need. So I am perfectly happy. Let's throw these cards back here. And what this does is give us a nice 3 into potentially 5 if we can get Golos down. So theoretically, we might have a chance here. A little worrying to see goblins because they are so aggressive, but we might be able to swing a win. We'll see. I believe in us, Ace. I believe in us. We got this. Guys, also, I really hope you had a fantastic weekend. I was on vacation, like I mentioned. I got to go to the beach with my lovely fiance and her family. Had a fantastic time. Fortunately, it rained the whole time, which wasn't great for us, but it was still a really nice weekend. Got to see a little bit more of her side of the family, who I don't normally get to see, which was great. Let's get every color here. That's just gonna put us where we need to be. Next turn, we can just throw Golos out, which then also will pull the World Tree, which is really going to put us in the right spot. But all that to say, I had a fantastic weekend. I very much missed you guys. I hate that we weren't able to get a Thursday video up. I just was super, super busy, unfortunately. And as much as I really wanted to, it just did not work out. But all that to say, I'm very glad to be back. Very glad to be recording once again. Also, Caitlin is back in school, like teaching in the classroom versus teaching virtually, which means I shouldn't have as many, like, during the day. I should have just slightly more time during lunch and things like that to maybe get some recordings in. So I'm going to do the best I can to keep things moving forward as quickly as I can so that you guys get all the content you want. We also have a lot of other content that I'm very interested in doing, but that I want to make sure you guys are also interested in. I don't know exactly how that's all going to play out. Let's spin the wheel with Golos. Otherwise, I think we're going to lose this game anyway, so I want to make sure we're doing the best thing we can here. Let's get you down. I will play the other Golos. We'll keep that one. I mean, chances are we lose here, but that's okay. This is unfortunately the problem of the historic ladder as well, is that we really don't have the time to afford a mana issue. And so sometimes that can be a big problem. The problem is now, see, yeah, they just have haste. So we'll do as much as we can, but unfortunately that is a loss for us. We also can't gain life thanks to Tibalt, so it really doesn't matter anyway. And there we go. One loss, unfortunately, Ace. Let's go ahead and jump into game 2. And here we are for game number 2. Now, this hand I am just going to keep because we do have the Explore. We also have the Arcane Adaptation and the World Tree, as well as the other side of Wandering Archaic. So we might be able to make something happen this game, Ace. I think this is probably our best bet in terms of starting hands to see if we can get something to happen. The trick is, and that worked out fantastic. I was a little worried we wouldn't hit a land off the top again. Having 66 cards and only a third of them being 22 have lands. Sometimes that's going to be a bit hit or miss. Thankfully, it worked out. So not a problem at all. Let's go ahead. We're going to cultivate here. We're going to get a blue source and a white source. Let's go ahead and just put one of them down. It doesn't really matter which. We can drop the Arcane Adaptation, and then we actually do have a nice little setup. Or, alternatively, we might just play out this Archangel, and that will start playing more stuff from our hand without paying its mana cost. I think that's also, Ace, the other thing. While this is a very powerful deck, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Arcane Adaptation deck, which is totally fine, but I think that's where this didn't get quite as high a creativity level, is because of that, but that's okay. No problem at all, Ace. We're gonna have a great time with this one, and I think we're actually in okay shape. I mean, it's not perfect. They might have an answer to this. If they have a land, they could have a Banishing Light, a lot of different stuff, but if we can start playing stuff for free, then we're actually gonna be in okay shape. Now, they do pull a card from our hand here. All of them are great options for them, but that just means that we have a lot of great options as well. So I'm actually okay with whatever they choose here. If anything, I'd probably like to keep the Baneslayer Angel. Okay. Just because that gives us as much life gain as possible to keep ourselves in the game for as long as possible. Now, what I'm kind of thinking is we're going to end up playing this Wandering Archaic here. We also do get to just play a card for free here off of the Archangel, so not super worried about that. And I think here, we're actually going to go with this one. This discards a card, which is important, because now we can start gaining a little bit of kind of card disadvantage on their end, if that makes sense. And we should be good to go. Refreshing taste of Sprite. All right. All right, well, they gave up. We did it, Ace. We got the win, my friend. I like it. That does take our score up to 4. I love that. All right, let's jump into game number 3 and see how we do. Here we are, guys, for our third and final game. Ace, we got the win, my friend. Let's see if we can do it one more time. Now, I am going to keep this hand. I understand that we're going to be a little bit slower with these World Trees, but we do have the double Explore, which could keep us in this game pretty easily. So I want to make sure that we're doing the best we can here. I don't want to risk a mulligan because, oh, and perfect. That's going to solve our problem. Great. I don't want to risk a mulligan with this deck, again, because mana is so tricky. Any possible instance of landing a turn 2 Explore or even a turn 3 Explore, I think is worth keeping. Now, thankfully, we did draw a Swamp here, and we've got a guaranteed third land, which just means we will be able to get a little bit more down this turn, which is super, super nice. Interesting. Okay, I'm actually going to go World Tree here. We can play this, play Arcane Adaptation, or Cultivate. I actually kind of like the Cultivate play. We've got time for the Arcane Adaptation. I'm not super worried about getting that down quite yet. And so I'd like to kind of ramp us into the Golos as quickly as we possibly can here. and just see how this goes. Now, how do we want to do this? We can do this and risk having a land on top. I don't like that. Let's go this route. It's very much the safer route, which I think is probably just worth it. And we'll just play the white source here. Doesn't matter too much. And then we can play that blue source. Now, next turn, we will get the Mountain down, which gives us any color that we could possibly want. We can go ahead and play the Golos if we'd like. And that might even open up the Explore opportunity as well. So let's see if we can do it. I will say, Ace, when this deck works, which we saw it do last game, and I think we're kind of getting there this game as well. Ooh, there's an Archangel, though. Ooh, I could go either way. No, I'm going to go with the Archangel. Let's give that one a shot. So Archangel is really nice because it allows us to double, essentially, basically play out a lot of really big stuff in one turn. Now, I guarantee you they've got plenty of kill spells in their deck, but the idea being that they have to answer this. A Golos, they actually don't have to answer. It's a very big problem, don't get me wrong, but they don't have to answer it. This also gives us a similar ability, but kind of just want to see what they're going to do here. We're obviously not going to block. We do have to be slightly careful with that. Okay. Yep, I'm going to do this. Let's do that. We're going to do that, which is going to allow us to play something from our hand. We're going to play the other Herald, which is going to allow them to, or basically force them to discard 2 cards here. We'll see what they end up being, but that does kind of hopefully cripple their chances slightly of getting where they need to get. Ooh, they had a Ravages. Very nice. They could have Reanimator packages here. I would not be surprised given that they do have the Lore Hold here as well as Nicol Bolas. Question is, do we want to kill this? Cool. That's actually kind of tricky. I'm gonna say no. Just have to be careful because they can, trigger this, which would be a problem. We don't quite have enough for this yet. Let's get you down. We'll go and get a land. Let's take the action. Doesn't matter which land, to be brutally honest. I'm gonna go ahead and explore here. Great, we get another land. Let's do that. Gonna hit them for as much as we can at the moment. Now this is gonna drop Arcane Adaptation. We're obviously gonna name God here. Did we just lose, actually? We might have. No, we didn't. Okay. They discard a card. Ooh, that's a scary one. We might have just lost. No, they don't have enough mana to activate this. Okay. So we're very close to losing. Oh, we might have lost then. We did. Oh man, they drew the exact card they needed. No. Oh man. Well, okay. I mean, it's the way it goes, but let's Ace, let's talk about the deck, my friend. All right, so this was an interesting one. First of all, Ace, again, I just want to say a huge thank you for the submission, for everybody for their submissions. I really do appreciate it. Ace, as a recap, we gave you a creativity score, of 3. That sprite's getting to me. Of 3, and we did win 1 out of 3 games, which puts your total score at 4, which is not bad. Let me be very clear. That's not a bad score at all. I think your deck idea was really, really solid. I think we've seen that deck, again, this is part of why the creativity score wasn't a 4 or a 5, was that we have seen the World Tree Arcane Adaptation combo. Now, not necessarily on this channel, but it's a very common thing. It's not super unexpected. And it felt very just, we're going to throw big stuff in here. Let's make them all gods. Let's put them on the field. Great concept. Fantastic concept. Not super creative. Very, very solid, though, is the idea. And so, Ace, you put together a very solid strategy. I think the execution was a bit challenging, specifically because we were trying to get a bunch of basic lands out. Getting the colors, thankfully, wasn't a huge problem for us, but it certainly could have been. I will say in bot practice, I practice all the decks beforehand just so I make sure I'm understanding what needs to happen. I'm representing it as best I can. And in bot practice even, I had a very hard time getting the lands that I needed in a few instances. Like 2 or 3 games in particular were very rough. And that's just down to the land base. That's all it is. It's totally fine. It's manageable. It's something we can work on. And Ace, I just urge you in the future, take a look at that. Give it a shot. Either way, it was a fantastic time. I really did enjoy it. I'm glad we got to see it do its thing, at least in that second game. Although we didn't get to see it do the full thing, it was working its way there. So thank you so much, Ace. Congratulations. You are currently our leader. We got 4 points on the board. Let's see if we can do this better on Wednesday and Friday. We'll see how things go. Keep in mind, next week we will be building around a brand new card. Haven't yet decided what that is. If you've got suggestions, leave those in the comment section. And again, if you would like to submit a deck for these challenge videos, please feel free to do so. Our Discord is the place to do that. But guys, thank you so much. It's great to be back. I love you all very much. Have a fantastic Monday. I'll see you again very soon for some more gameplay videos.